Have you ever imagined that when your heart stops beating, your body is actually preparing a final fireworks show inside your brain? Many people fear that death is an instant of darkness, a switch that is suddenly turned off. But new science is revealing a much more complex secret. At the brink of death, our brains actually explode in incredibly powerful electrical activity, a surge of energy that may explain why many people see tunnels of light or their memories of their lives flash by at lightning speed. This is the story of how our bodies try to give us the most dramatic farewell possible before our consciousness completely disappears. Death is often thought of as the cessation of organ function. The heart stops pumping, the lungs stop taking in oxygen. But for the brain, this is the beginning of a major emergency operation. When oxygen supply is cut off, a condition medically known as hypoxia, the brain doesn't shut down immediately. Instead, it goes into a highly organized panic mode. Imagine your brain as a skyscraper that suddenly loses its main power supply. Instead of falling into darkness, the building turns on all its emergency lights at once. In this critical moment, the brain releases an unprecedented flood of neurotransmitters. Dopamine, serotonin, and even natural hallucinogens are pumped out wildly. This explains why survivors of near-death experiences, NDEs, often report a sense of overwhelming peace, as if they were being embraced by a warm light. One of the most famous phenomena is the light at the end of the tunnel. Medically, this isn't a gateway to another dimension, but rather a fascinating visual malfunction. When blood pressure drops drastically and oxygen in the brain's visual areas begins to deplete, our peripheral vision is the first to be paralyzed. The result? Our vision narrows to a small, brightly lit tunnel in the center, creating the illusion of a tunnel. Coupled with the increased sensitivity of our eyes due to chemical explosions, even ordinary hospital lights can appear as dazzling celestial light. An even stranger phenomenon is the out-of-body experience, OBE, where people feel like they're floating and viewing their own bodies from above. Science explains this as a disruption in the temporoparietal junction, the part of the brain responsible for integrating signals from our bodies to create a sense of where we are. When this area lacks oxygen, it loses synchronization, causing the brain to create the perception that our self is outside our physical body. It's the ultimate trick of the most complex organ in the human body to understand what's going on. If you've ever heard the story that your life flashes before your eyes as you're about to die, it turns out it's not just a Hollywood trope. An EEG recording accidentally taken from a dying patient revealed something astonishing. Just before and after the heart stopped, the brain showed a surge of gamma waves. These gamma waves are the brain waves that typically occur when we're in a state of high concentration, dreaming, or engaging in intense memory retrieval. This suggests that the brain may be performing a final scan of our entire memory storehouse. Why? Evolutionary theory suggests that this is a final attempt by the brain to search for information from the past that might help us survive a potentially fatal situation. But for those of us experiencing it, it feels like a biopic played in high gear, a recapitulation of who we were before that identity was erased. But what's more profound than a mere medical explanation is how these near-death experiences change the way people view life. Many people who have been on the verge of death return to the world with a completely new perspective. They no longer chase possessions or empty ambitions. They come to cherish every moment of small memories. Why? Because they realize that in your final moments, what your brain will replay won't be your bank balance or your job title, but rather the simple moments of laughing with loved ones or watching the sunset. This is a reminder for those of us who still have a steady heartbeat. Our lives are a collection of memories that we are writing every day. Our brains already have a beautiful and complex farewell system, but the quality of that farewell movie depends on the scenario we are experiencing today. We don't know when that final gamma wave surge will come, but we have complete control over what memories will emerge. Death is perhaps the greatest mystery we will never fully understand scientifically as long as we live. However, by understanding that our bodies have mechanisms to provide peace at the end, perhaps we can somewhat lessen our fear of that certainty. Ultimately, death is not the enemy of life, but rather the conclusion that gives value to every page of the story we create. So, make sure every second you live today is worthy of being replayed on the final stage of your brain someday.